considering South Korea's situation with North Korea and gun shootings in America, which country do you think is safer to live in, South Korea or America?
That's a good question. The answer is still South Korea. Man, we have 250 million guns in America and people are dying every single day. Which country is safer? If a war breaks out, we know the answer. That's. But as far as right now, South Korea is safer than America is. I've been to the DMZ also. I was in the military, so I was there. I love America, but there's a lot going on.
Well, I'm inherently biased towards America. I think we live in a pretty safe country, and I'm not South Korean, so I don't know the day. I'd imagine it'd be pretty horrible thinking that at any time or any point a madman in North Korea could launch a nuclear weapon into your country and start another world war. So I'd, for the most part, think it's America.
I actually, mainly because I actually have a cousin who lives in South Korea right now. But I would actually probably say South Korea is safer at this point, just because, at least from the mentality he's told us, from like his band, he's got a band in South Korea, and he teaches, and it just seems like a lot of South Koreans, like, they're wary, but it's also something that, like, it's like, is he really going to follow up on his word? Whereas, unfortunately, with a lot of the gun violence in America, it's people aren't following their words, so to say, in enacting gun control. You kind of get a lot of these situations that are very prevalent, and it's honestly frightening. And I was abroad for a semester, and even in places around Europe and Scandinavia, they were like, America's frightening. I wouldn't want to be there because of all the violence, which I had never really considered before until I took more of like an outside perspective.
I would just have to choose America because I'm here, but it depends where you live in America as well. But I would say we don't really hear about any shootings from South Korea, and of course there's always the risk of the threat from Kim Jong-un with the missiles and everything, but I doubt that's going to play out. But there's a small chance that there can be a terrorist attack here as well as a shooting, but the percentages of both of them happening are very low.
South Korea, yeah, definitely South Korea. Yeah. The gun violence, the percentage of crime in the US is way higher than it is in South Korea. I don't think there's going to be a war. I don't think so. I think Kim Jong-un, or what's his name, is just playing with his muscle. So I don't think there's going to be a war.
I would assume that America's safer because we're not in as close of a proximity to North Korea. We are further away from North Korea. So it's not like we're not bordering North Korea to be invaded like that. I know North Korea is trying to hold South Korea hostage. In America, there's also all of this like Black Lives Matter stuff happening. So it's not just that we have tension with North Korea. There's also like an extreme level of racism that lives within this country. And I've been saying recently that I'm not really happy living here because of the political tension. It's just like overwhelming. I'm always worried I'm gonna look at my phone and like some crazy news is gonna happen, and I'm just like, well, like everyone wants to come here and like live in New York, but it's also kind of sad because of what's happening, and like no one, like all these shootings, like no one's really doing anything about it. So it's kind of like another perspective, like another aspect of it.
I don't know that I would pick one or the other, but they're both probably equally unsafe. I'm scared of people. I've seen people on the street with guns in public spaces, and I actually had a friend that accidentally shot a gun like literally 2 feet from not even 2 feet from my face. I think the gun was here and it went off accidentally like this far from my face. Even if it's just an accident, we're at more risk of gun violence in America than maybe anywhere. We can do a lot more about gun control in America though. It's more in our control than I would say South Korea's experience is at the moment, even though diplomatically I think South Korea is trying. I think that we definitely recognize that it's a safer place in North Korea, but I don't know that it's deemed quite safe. What do you think?
I feel like everyone just kind of focuses on North Korea rather than South Korea.
Also, we come from North Carolina, which is like the southern United States, and there's a lot of backlash about Koreans in general just from the Korean War. So when you say Korea to my grandparents, they just think those Koreans. You know, so there's no differentiation there.
Both of them pretty bad off.
Pardon?
Both of them pretty bad off about all this fighting and shooting and killing.
I think we have more domestic problems
more like domestic terrorism. It's scarier than North Korea.
From what I can see, South Korea is portrayed as kind of a hostage of North Korea. They rely on the United States for protection. I don't know if that's true, but that's just the way it's portrayed on the media. I don't like the fact that there are guns everywhere. No, it kind of makes me feel uncomfortable. The gun issue seems to never make any progress in the United States because half the country doesn't want to make any progress. The Republican Party doesn't want to make any progress. They keep saying that we need to have guns so that the good guys can protect themselves from the bad guys, but there's no evidence that works. And as long as we can't come to an agreement, we're gonna have two sides of the country that they can't even come and talk to each other. It's a really polarized situation right now. It seems like there are two sides. They won't come together to make an agreement. So I think that the mass shootings are gonna keep happening. Obviously, I hope that's not the case, but
safety is a privilege. If you live in a nice area and you feel safe, it's a privilege. It's not a right.
There's violence in the world, all over the world, no matter where you're at. You can't say that the United States is safer or that, any other country is safer because, there's good parts and there's bad parts of every city. And, if you go to the bad spots and, you're not careful, you're going to run into trouble. Or even if you're in bad areas and you keep your wits around you, you should be all right. And that's the basis of pretty much anything in the world. Just got to be intelligent and make good choices.
Pay attention to your surroundings.